So Steve Dundas, my advisor, and I are looking at what drives a homeowner to install some form of shoreline protective structure on their property. So shoreline protective structures are riprap revetments or seawalls. So if you've ever been walking along the coast and you look over and you see piles of boulders and rocks that look like they were engineered a certain way, that is riprap revetment, and that is the majority of adaptation that we see in Oregon, and it affixes the beach at a given point. But by doing that, it generates a host of other adverse outcomes as well. So when a homeowner installs a shoreline protective structure, the erosion problem essentially is deflected onto nearby parcels. So you can accelerate the erosion of your neighbors, and you can break the natural sediment transport processes. And interestingly enough, at high tides, you can actually eliminate beach access altogether. So we are interested in understanding why homeowners choose this and when they will choose this activity and how they respond to policy interventions on this choice. We answered this question by gathering a bunch of really rich downscale data. So we needed data down at the individual homeowner level, the individual parcel level. So we gather information or characteristics about each plot of land along the coast. So what is the size of the land? What is the elevation of the land? What's the land value? We then partnered with some state agencies that govern or control the application process for shoreline protective structure installation. And so we compare that data with our existing data on the tax lots or the parcels, and we know who has installed or who has applied to install shoreline protective structures and when. And then we utilize partners here at Oregon State and the Geoinformatics Group, and they have some really fascinating data over time from LIDAR, which is when planes fly over and they map the shoreline. They can actually determine the distance from a house to the shoreline and to the beach. And we can track that evolution over time. So we can actually see in areas that are eroding, we can see the retreat of that shoreline or vegetation line towards the house. We combine all of that data together into a model that determines what is important in the decision process for installing shoreline protective structures. And then we use that outcome or those model results to simulate forward in time the evolution of the coast for Oregon. We discovered that risky characteristics matter. Higher erosion rates will tend to lead to greater armoring. Lower elevation parcels are more likely to armor. That's somewhat intuitive and not exciting, but an exciting aspect of what we found is the influence of your neighbors on your choice. So when people or neighbors in a group armor or install shoreline armoring on their parcel of land, it makes me more likely to emulate that as well and modify my shoreline. And we find that these spatial spillovers or these neighboring effects tend to dominate the physical characteristics on the land. This is important. It's important that we do not end up at a future point in time where the entire shoreline is modified, where we still have access to the beach. So it's very important that we balance the benefits that homeowners receive from protecting their property with a shoreline protective structure. And we balance that against all of the benefits that Oregonians receive from a natural shoreline and the history and culture that is associated with a natural shoreline. So understanding the way that homeowners will respond to different policies and understanding who is impacted and what can be done to minimize those impacts and maximize access to the shoreline is essential